Welcome back to the program. Let's go live to the former Deputy Prime Minister, Michael McCormack. He's the member for Riverina. I want to start with your thoughts on the commitment this week. We've got a few news stories today, but I want to touch on this international story. First of all, 80 years since Hiroshima, the blast there. This week we've had the deal done with Mitsubishi Heavy Industries for our next frigate. So I just want to get your reflections on that as a former Deputy PM, someone that's watched this sort of area very closely. We've come a long way, haven't we, in terms of our relationship with Tokyo, with Japan?
Yeah, we have, Kieran. And would you believe it started in the central western New South Wales town of Kara, where on August 5, which was only yesterday, but in 1944, 1,104 Japanese internment prisoners of war escaped. Now, 231 of them were killed in the outbreak, 4 Australians, and yet the bonds of friendship that formed from that. And then, of course, we had John Blackjack McEwen, the former country party leader, former Prime Minister, making sure that we renegotiated trade deals with Japan at a very, very difficult time between the two countries. Of course, the atrocities of World War II and what had been done in Sandakan and Hellfire Pass and Changi and elsewhere to Australian soldiers was still very raw in the minds of many, many Australians. And so that peace arrangement with Kara, what Blackjack McEwen did, and of course what the government has done this week, it does show that there are very, very strong ties with Japan, as there should be.
And it sort of corrects a more recent historical, I don't know if anomaly is the word, but the hiccup in the relationship with the subs that Tony Abbott had wanted to acquire that never happened.
Well, yes, but of course you have to get the best arrangement for Australia. You have to get what is right for Australia, what is fit for purpose for the future. And, both the Coalition and Labor have to put national security first always. And that's what we did as a government. Very much the current government has made sure that the AUKUS arrangements, made sure that this Japanese deal that has just been struck is the right thing for Australia.
On to a few other stories, the Economic Roundtable, the Treasurer trying to manage expectations. Are you welcoming the fact that he's got a focus on, reducing red tape, a focus on productivity?
Well, what I want to see is what Labor actually does, not what Labor says it's going to do. And Jim Chalmers is very good at talking things up. They talked up the $275 power relief. Never happened. We've had the Productivity Commission recommendations for AI doing data and text mining into Australian creativity. Now, I'm really worried about that. Now, I know the Treasurer has brushed this aside today and said, well, we can't pull the doona up and say this isn't happening. Artificial intelligence is here. But very much this could eat into all sorts of arrangements that people have with the creativity that they did. People like Colin McCulloch, Elaine Mitchell, Joan Lindsay, AC/DC, Cole Joy, the late, great Cole Joy, Eric Bannett, Nicole Kidman. We could go on and on. But this is very much their work. And now the big tech companies want it basically for nothing. This is a real concern. And AI is also a great concern with taking workers' jobs. I mean, we were all told to go to university. Every parent wanted their kid to go to university rather than seek out a tradie career. Well, many of those computer jobs may well fall to the wayside if AI is really let rampant and loose as part of this productivity roundtable negotiations.
Would you like to see AI harnessed effectively, though, in the sense that do you recognise that there is huge scope for productivity out of artificial intelligence?
There's definitely productivity gains, no question about it. But we see how big tech companies have just pinched the media material of, let's just say, regional newspapers and others besides, media companies, and not paid for the right for it, not paid for the privilege of it. Now, I know how much work Josh Frydenberg did when he was Treasurer to make sure that the right deal was struck. But I do worry about whether Labor is just going to cough this up in the pursuit of just having a talk fest that's not going to achieve anything but lose workers their jobs. writers and other artists their creativity, and for what? Meanwhile, we've got transport companies. XL Express went under just this week. Watson's, 77 years. They've gone under just recently. I mean, the economy is really doing it tough, Kieran, and the government just doesn't seem to be responding and pressing the buttons it needs to press. It's off talking about things, and I appreciate, overnight we've seen the Prime Minister having discussions with Emmanuel Macron about Palestine, and you'd think that was the biggest news story of the day. Well, the biggest news story of the day is the plight that people are having paying their bills, and the government just doesn't seem to be addressing it.
The Middle East is a big story, though. There's you can see that it's obviously dominating a lot of coverage here and around the world. And the Prime Minister with the discussion, I want to ask you about that, though, because yesterday we had 600 senior members of the security apparatus in Israel, a former Prime Minister, three former heads of Mossad, 5 former members, senior leaders of Shin Bet, writing to Donald Trump saying, use your influence over Netanyahu and get him to end this now. Hamas has been dismantled in their professional opinion. The Prime Minister now talking to the French leader, the latest in those talks. What's your read on this? It looks like the momentum and the pressure on Israel continues.
I believe the dismantling of Hamas when I see it. The hostages need to be released. We need to get these things in order, and we should not rush to reward. Let's never forget what happened on October 7, 2023. That bridge protest on Sunday was a disgrace. Let's be brutally honest. It shouldn't have happened. How much does it cost New South Wales taxpayers? How much does it cost the New South Wales economy? And Josh Lee, seriously, I agree with Chris. The bloke is a serial protester. We just don't need this sort of activity in Australia. The signs, the hatred, the bile, the volatility. This isn't the Australia I grew up or you grew up in, Kieran. And, we can't sort the Palestinian situation out from Australia, but as a country and as a diplomatic player in international affairs, we shouldn't be rushing to reward Palestine for what happened in 2023. We just shouldn't, and I think it's too soon. They've got to release the hostages. Hamas has to be dismantled and negated for all time. But until that happens, I just can't see that they should be rewarded with a statehood.
Michael McCormack, thank you. And I'll be joined by Julian Leese later this hour as well for his thoughts.
Always a pleasure, Kieran. Thank you.
Michael, thanks. We'll talk to you soon. See you next week.
Authorised by Michael McCormack, the National Party, Wagga Wagga.